You are listening to the Boundless Enigma podcast with Sam Zins
and Ryan Mulkentine. On this podcast, we dive into the mind, reality, and existence itself to provide you with boundless ideas and insights. I want to know, what does it feel like? What if you could describe the feeling of living alone now, or kind of your own new place? Could you describe what that feels like?
Oh, it feels like freedom.
Yes,
dude. Straight up.
Right?
Even though, living at my mom's house, she was super chill, and I'm very grateful for that. Even now, it still feels like I gained so much freedom. It's ridiculous.
I had an idea of what it feels like, and I was gonna see if you had the same one, and it totally matched. That feeling of just
Yeah, because it's now it's this is my place. I get to decorate it the way I want to. I get to buy what I want for it. I get to eat what I want. I get to I can just do whatever I want, literally whatever I want. So it's just it's so nice.
You get there's a sense of pride almost about your room and taking care of your things and the way that you decorate. There's a sense of ownership around it that feels really good too.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely feel more motivated to take care of things around the house now that it's my own and I'm paying for it. So I definitely feel it's I don't mind cleaning. It's kind of fun to clean, as a matter of fact. That kind of thing. Not that I was a slob at home, but it's just different. Like you said, it's just different.
Agree.
It's your own thing.
Yeah, cleaning. It's I let things kind of maybe get roughed up a little bit, but I don't. If something is dirty, it gets cleaned, it gets put away. It just feels good to keep the space open and clean and organized. There's just something about it. That feeling of freedom, it contributes to, it's your freedom is pure and clean, and it just feels good and open when things are nice and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Tidy. No, yeah. Because I feel like at home it more so felt oh, my bedroom is my space, you know what I mean? But it's here it feels I'm this is all my space, I'm helping pay for all of the space. So it's just being more inclined to just take care of things better, it's great. It really is. And this is only my first week, living here, so I'm sure I'll be learning more things about that sense of freedom that I feel now, and how they can be good, and maybe how it can also, get me, I might get ahead of things. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, it's exciting.
When does school start for you? When do classes get back up?
That'd probably be good to know. I want to say, so I'm looking at my phone to see what day it is. August.
I don't know either.
I think it's either first week of September or last week of August.
I think it's around there too for me. It's I'll find out closer.
Yeah, it's maybe I'll check in a couple weeks to figure out when.
Yeah.
But up until then, it's I'm living my life, man.
Exactly.
I'm eating up as much summer as I can get. So
yes, no need to taint it with worrying about classes.
Yeah, exactly. No, switching up a little bit, what I just said about summer, it makes me think of golf, because I'm going golfing tomorrow, and I've been golfing here and there throughout the summer, not a ton, but here and there.
Yeah.
And I was having this conversation with my coworker the other day at work, and we were talking about our golf swings, and that feeling when you hit the ball well. And it's oh yes, that's what I've been trying to do. And it's but for somebody like me who isn't very good at golf, those kind of shots are far and few between, So it's but I feel when I have those shots, it's what did I do right? I catch myself wondering what did I do right? And I notice the times where I have those good shots is the times where I'm thinking the least about it. And it's just
interesting.
I'm not thinking okay, I need to pull it back this far. Okay, now I need to swing. I'm not thinking about that.
Right.
I'm just I just do it.
It's a bodily intelligence, not a mental intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. it's like that. Yeah, it's that muscle memory. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe, if you're at the golfing range, maybe it is a good idea to maybe be like, okay, I'm going back and then I'm going through. But if when you're actually out on the course, it's like, okay, maybe use what you've learned from the range to apply to
Yeah.
there, and trust yourself.
That like makes me think about like the feeling of like when something clicks in your mind, like when you get a success moment, like well, like the word like eureka. It's like it's that moment where like you get it. You're like, oh yes, I got it.
Yeah.
After like failed attempt, shitty swing, and then the one time you get it, just like there's this feeling of like, oh my god, I did it. And that I've been feeling myself with like making TikTok content and writing blog posts, because
that's awesome.
Blog post writing is really tricky and like nuanced. Like there's all these complexities around writing a blog post that people enjoy and will click on and rank in Google search. And in the past, I've spent like hours on an article and it'll get nothing. And then I'll do an article that I just get it perfectly right somehow. I don't know how. And then I'll start getting like tons of traffic from Google from it. And those moments are like, oh, that's what I need to do. It feels so good that you're like, okay, I'm starting to see the patterns that lead to this feeling of success.
Absolutely. Yeah. And once you like get a taste of what those patterns are like, then it just ramps up from there. If you keep going along with it and keep trying. And and that's such a good relatable point to the golf swing, and I think that what I was talking about with the golf swing and what you were talking about with the blog post applies to life. It's just like you just do it and you start recognizing patterns, then you apply it, and then it's like, oh my gosh, then you start trucking along. Like
exactly.
Yesterday I felt like I had a very good day because I was very much so in the like not having a lot of thoughts area. Like I was very much so in the groove. I was getting things done. I was running errands. I was doing all these things, and it felt like I was like, okay, like I'm not like overthinking this. I'm not like trying to do it a specific way and all this stuff.
Yeah,
like, I'm just going with this muscle memory, a pattern of what I've done before and how it works, and it felt great. It's like,
dude,
that's great.
That's like, I think that's what like habit, and that's what we're talking about, like the Atomic Habits. Like such an over talked about book. Like talk about like over talked about. Like that's such a boring thing to bring up. Atomic Habits. But it's like when you first hear about it or read it, you're like, oh sure, like obviously I know habits are important, but they're fucking boring and hard to establish.
Yeah.
But once you actually have the momentum and energy going into a habit and into like a rhythm, it doesn't feel like the heaviness that's before the habit is produced. You know what I mean? Like once you're in it, it feels good. There's a flow and there's like just no resistance. And that feels so good when you can just like get in the rhythm of feeling more successes and flowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the point of the habit is to throw you into these grooves where you're not having to think so much. It's basically like you're I can't even think of a comparison off the top of my head. It's like you're just like typing things down on a piece of paper and putting it in your head, and you're just leaving it there for next time. And it's like so next time you don't have to go back and type that paper again. It's already there, so you just pull it out and use it.
Yes.
It's so much better that way. It's like you don't have to go through all the hard work like you did the first time.
Yeah, but I think people don't realize that like the hard work is done up front for the habit. And so like when they're thinking about establishing the habit, they're thinking about that hard work happening every single time they're doing it. Yeah. But it's not like that at all. It becomes extraordinarily easier once the habit is established. Like once but it can be very discouraging on the front half when you haven't seen the results from it or like how it feels to be on the other side of it. And you're trying to do it and it feels very heavy and like a lot of work. It's super discouraging. And like, I can tell you from experience that like, there's times where like I've tried to establish a meditation habit or something, or this other kind of habit. and it's just so hard in the beginning. But the things that I do push myself in for like a month afterwards, like blog writing right now, I'm just like flowing through blog articles. I'm just getting really good at writing them. But at the beginning, it was like I had to like push myself to write those articles. Oh my God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like that's the beauty of habits is like you put that work in up front, and then they do the work for you on the back end. Once you
Right.
have that habit, and you're right. It can feel so hard. Like meditation habits. That's a hard one for me too. It's like it's so hard to form that habit because it's so hard up front. Like it's so hard because you've got to take time out of your day to do nothing when we all have busy days. There's nobody that, there's not many people, I should say, that don't have busy days. So, taking even 10 minutes out of your day to just sit down and do nothing feels like such a hard task. But if you can just do that and put in that work up front, like we were talking about, then in the latter end, you're going to start getting better at it, and you're going to realize like, oh, okay, this 10 minutes is very beneficial for me to do this, so it's
For
like,
sure.
There's pros and cons to everything, it takes time and it takes effort, but the pro is that you have a clear mind for the whole day.
No, yeah, I know, but it's so, if you don't feel like, you can know the benefit, but if you don't feel what it's actually like to be there, then it's like there's not really a motivation to do it.
Yeah,
that's the tricky thing, is you're gonna have to have faith. You have to trust the process of building the habit, which is like, because you don't want to spend all of this energy building a habit if it's not going to actually do anything for you, right?
Yeah,
but it's like,
absolutely,
it's just hard, like on the front end, but eventually when you do build a habit, then it feels good.
Yeah, dude.
So
no, I love that you said trust the process, because I think that's like that's something that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, like almost right away. It's like,
oh really?
Like, yeah, it is like you got to fall in love with the process in order to form the habit. You can't be so focused on the goals that you have. Like I think we all have goals. It's like, I want to become a therapist, or I want to become a nurse, or I want to be whatever it might be. Like, these are the goals, but how do you get to those goals? You don't get to them overnight, So you might as well love that process to get to that point, and not just love the goal.
That's interesting. There's something about like, but when does it transition from like pushing yourself into then starting to like merge with the habit and enjoying the process? Like, when does that, I guess, you have to trust. It's literally just a faith thing in the beginning. I guess it's faith in the beginning.
Yeah, it's like, okay, does this sound good? Yeah, I'm not sure if it sounds good. All right, well, if it's either I'm gonna do it or I'm not. So it's like, if I'm gonna do it, I might as well trust it. So
it's better than, it's like trying it and pushing yourself and failing is better than like sitting there and doing nothing and having no growth at all.
Yeah, it's like, worst comes to worst, it doesn't stick and it doesn't work. Or it turns out you don't like that like what's going on with that habit. It's like, that's the worst thing that could happen. So you might as well try it. It's like getting like rejected, by a girl or something. It's like, if you don't try it, then you're never gonna get a girlfriend. So you might as well just try it, and you'll probably get rejected maybe quite a few times. Who knows? But at least you try.
Definitely.
If you just stay at home and do nothing, you're never gonna get anywhere with that.
Definitely.
But easier said than done.
So you're feeling excited about your golfing and getting better at that, and the success that you're seeing, and you're feeling good about like moving into your new place, and that feels good that you kind of have your own space and a sense of freedom. Life is expanding for you right now, and that feels good. Like, where do you feel yourself kind of being pulled? Like, what other things are exciting you? What's like, if you could give me like a future vision for yourself, like what's going on, like let me know. Like, I don't know, like give me the rundown, I guess, of like what you're hoping to expand into more.
No, that's a really good question. I feel like just yesterday, actually, I feel like there was a big turning point for me. I feel like before yesterday, I was in this like tandem. Like I was in a spot where I felt like I was in tandem because I I can't work a lot of nights, and my current job at Buffalo Wings and Rings only allows me to work at nights. They don't
Yeah.
have morning shifts for kitchen, and I was at this point where it's like I'm getting an internship sometime soon, and also I just moved, so it's like there's so much going on, and obviously I
Yes.
need money to be coming in to pay for the place that I'm living in.
Yes.
But I haven't found there just hasn't been enough time, or at least it feels like there hasn't been enough time for me to work, and it felt like super stressful to get a new
Yeah.
like job at like a breakfast place or something like that. Like like I said, there's just so much going on with all that.
Mhm.
But yesterday, I got a call from a place that I applied to for my internship, and it actually threw me off guard. I thought I was going to be receiving a call about the voting. I don't know if you're familiar,
Yeah.
but in Ohio, there was some voting over
Right.
like issue one. So I
Mhm.
thought that's what it was going to be because it was public services. And I answer the phone. I'm just here in my pajamas, and and all of a sudden it's this lady who's like calling me for a phone interview, and
Okay.
I'm like, oh crap! I like get up out of bed. I'm like, all
Gotta
right, yep. I'm
get ready.
she's like, are you busy right now, or can we talk for a little bit? I was like, I literally like had a cough because like I had that like raspy morning voice going for me, and I'm like, I'm ready. That type of thing.
I'm up.
I'm great. I'm well awake. I'm not busy.
Been up for hours.
Been up for hours, man. I'm an early bird. As it was like 10 o'clock when she called.
Yeah.
But anyways, honestly, I kind of enjoyed the fact that it caught me off guard because like I didn't have time to think about it, and I was like so calm because I was like, what am I gonna do? I have to be calm. I can't freak out right now. It's like I have to be calm. I don't have a choice right now. So I didn't have time to prepare. So I was like, I have no choice. I have to be calm. And thankfully, she was super nice too. So that helped a lot. But anyways, I'm going in for a actual interview on Tuesday. And I think the phone interview went really well, believe it or not. I think that might be the best interview I've had in my life.
Dude.
It's kind of crazy, but
dude, I wonder how much like the anticipation of an interview like causes anxiety and like tripping up in it. And like you didn't have any possibility of that happening. And so like you were just flowing in the moment with the questions, right?
Yeah, literally. I had no time to think. I didn't know if she was just going to ask about availability or like if I'm still interested. I didn't know. But then all of a sudden we have a 20-minute phone call and she's asking about like, do you deal well with multitasking in high pressure situations and these type of things. And I'm like,
right.
But yeah, like you said, the anticipation made those questions honestly fairly easy for me because I didn't have any anticipation. So like my adrenaline wasn't able to like ramp up beforehand. So I felt so calm through the whole interview.
Nice.
And that kind of gave me some confidence too, because I was like, okay, like she was super nice. I was super calm. So like, I feel now I know what to expect for the real interview, and I feel pretty calm about that.
Yeah.
So it just feels like a good turning point. What's up?
What job is it?
It's kind of hard to describe exactly what it is, but basically it's a place where kids who are in the foster care system or kids who have been abused, whether it be like physically, sexually, or emotionally, they go and their parents can meet with them and basically do whatever. So basically my job is going to be to kind of be the assistant for the counselors there and whatnot, and get them whatever they need. And so it'll be nice to kind of be able to immerse myself in kind of I don't want to say chaotic environment, but like a lot of tension going on,
And you'll get to see some of the therapeutic side that like you're interested in.
Exactly.
Right.
And also not have to, deal with it firsthand. So I'll be able to kind of like be able to be in a calm, like safe spot with it, Yeah. So that's kind of nice.
Cool. All right, cool. So like you're feeling like things are working out.
Yeah. And assuming that I get the job, then from there I'll be able to kind of gauge the hours there and maybe get I live near a bunch of restaurants now, so then I'll be able to get like a little part-time gig up here. So it kind of feels like things are kind of formulating now, which it kind of has felt like I said, it's felt like in tandem for a little while, but I'm excited. how about you though? How about what's going on with you? Like, where do you feel like you're at?
I mean, honestly, I feel like life is expanding for me too.
Awesome.
Ever since what I like to call my Kundalini awakening, call it what you will, judge me for whatever I have to say, any listeners. But the truth is that ever since I had that experience, I've been expanding, and I've just been experiencing more and more presence and love in life in general. And I'm just starting to feel more present and at ease with everything that's going on, and things are just kind of flowing very naturally for me right now, and I'm learning to enjoy slowing down, and I've been going to the beach a lot, going to some parks, and at the same time I'm ramping up my website, nurtureyourspirit.org. I'm ramping up content production because I'm starting to see traffic starting to come in from Google search. I think I'm up to like 2,500 page views a month, which is pretty good.
That's pretty damn good.
Once I hit 10,000 page views a month, I'll be able to monetize it with a premium ad network. So I can like work with a company that will place high quality ads on my website, and I can make money from those ads. So I got a vision for where this website's going, and I'm using visualization exercises of like, dude, I've been doing all kinds of like crazy things lately. And
That
one of
sounds
them that's been feeling really good and has been pushing me for, it's creating this like positive pressure behind me, and it's pushing me forward. And what's causing that is I'm doing these visualization exercises in the morning, where before I get up, the first thing that I think about right away is what I want my dream future to look like and what I want it to be. And I immerse myself in that visualization. And not only am I visualizing it, but I start to like feel the way that it feels. Like, how would it feel to live a life of freedom, to live a life where I'm making my own income off of topics that I'm passionate about? What would that feel like? Would I feel free? Would I feel more love? Would I feel like, what would that look like? What sounds am I hearing there? Like, tapping into every sense perception and feeling what it feels like to live that life. And once I do that for like 2 or 3 minutes in the morning, I get up and I am like motivated, dude. I am like ready to craft my future. And I just start working on whatever it is I need to work on. And yeah, so I'm just feeling really good about the future of my blog. And I'm feeling like I'm getting deeper and deeper into this reality and enjoying it more and more every day. So life is just feeling good for me. It's also expanding just like you. It just feels like it's getting lighter and more expansive every day that I put my focus on the things that make me passionate.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I noticed you talked about those visualization exercises as
Yes.
like it almost seems like that's like a fuel for your fire, like that.
The key,
like, do you feel like you have other fuels?
I guess I just have a natural desire to learn more about like life and spirituality and self-development in general. I kind of have that natural like pull towards that. But honestly, the visualizations is pretty big for me right now. And I think the key with them is the actual feeling. Like when people do visualizations, I think they do it wrong. They're not genuinely getting themselves into the emotional state. They're not feeling the strong emotions associated with what they're visualizing, right?
Yeah.
And when I get myself into this, like I get myself worked up in these visualizations. Like that's how you need to do visualizations. You need to get yourself worked up so that when you're done, you're now charged and you are now in an emotional state that is aligned with your future, so that you can then start to work towards that future, starting from how you feel.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I feel like that's the same thing with like meditation, where it's like you got to actually, I like you don't have to be active, but you do have to be active. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what it feels like for me.
Yes. it's like activating a part of you that's not the brain, like turning off the
Yeah.
brain, but activating like the senses in the body in a way,
Yeah. Like
you know?
purely having awareness.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
and that's such a, you know what? Can we talk about awareness while on the
Yeah.
topic of that? Because
Sure.
like that is such a hard thing to put your finger on. Like what is awareness? Like
Yes.
what to you
What
is
is it?
awareness?
Awareness is um the space that allows everything else to exist. It's the thing. It's basically like it's a no thing. It's like the opposite of a thing. It's the space. Awareness is the space that allows for sense perceptions, for like sight and sounds and feelings to arise in it. That's what awareness is to me.
That's
What
a
do
good
you
way of
think?
putting it. It's so hard.
I don't think it's like a thing. I think it's like I
Yeah.
think it's a non thing.
No, you're right. You're right. But it's like so hard to like explain exactly like
Right.
for me awareness feels like it's just it's like it's like consciousness. It's just
But what
it's
is
not.
that? Because that's the
Yeah,
same
right.
thing.
Yeah,
And
it's like
I if I could use like an analogy, like honestly, what I think would help me understand it would be
Mhm.
like if like there is a box and there's molecules in the box. The molecules are like our senses, like they're the
Uh-huh.
things that appear and like are allowed to exist there. And the vacuum of the box where nothing is the awareness. It's the thing that allows for the experience of the things. Do you know what I'm saying?
So you're
It's
talking
like
about
awareness.
the
This is the paradox of what is everything, and then the answer is not everything is nothing because it's all held in nothing. For something to exist, it has to be experienced. It has to be held by nothing. Otherwise, it would be a thing.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? It's a
yeah,
tricky one. It's tricky. It's tricky to wrap your head around, but it can't. You know what I mean? Like if there was something already there, it couldn't hold whatever is here. There has to be
right.
the vacuum of awareness to experience what is here.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a crazy paradox of everything is nothing. It,
Yes.
it it's just
It
like
makes no sense.
it makes no sense. Like I want to say like everything is nothing, like and nothing is everything, and like that is how you would say it. But it's like I don't know. I don't even know where I'm trying to go with all this. When I
No.
think everything is nothing, there's just this array of like thoughts.
Sam, I have an idea that I think we need to do for one of these
Okay.
podcasts. We need to
Yeah,
get high for a podcast.
that'd be
That would be
hilarious.
that
If
would
well,
be so good.
I have to see. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get drug tested, but
Oh yeah,
if
okay.
if not, and if if I can find a way around it or something like that, then maybe. But you know,
Yeah.
not that I will. I'm not gonna
Just a
find a way
thought for the
around it. But
future. I think
yeah, a
that would be
future thought
fun.
perhaps.
Who
No, it
know
would be
that podcast would either be really good or awful.
or really bad. Yeah, I think it'd be really good.
We would be going into like the most minute details, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's what's so awesome about it, though. It like it takes you to these places where it's like you wouldn't normally think. It's like
Yeah.
normally you see everything with this like giant lens and you take
Yes.
everything in, and then but like when you're high, it's like oh, there's like there's a lot more to this giant picture than it looks. It's like it's
Weed
crazy.
gives you this ability to like spend extra time on like little things. Like it's like it gives
Mhm.
you like it stretches out time for some for some reason. Like and it
Yeah,
allows you to like focus and get extra stuff from like a smaller amount of time, focusing on one thing.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's why people who have anxiety struggle with that because it's like they are the like type of people, and,
Right.
including myself. I feel like I deal with anxiety to some degree, where it's like it's like little things are already being looked at. like constantly.
Yes. Or if you're already like filled with like a lot of fears and worries, it's like
Mhm.
that's not going to go away when you're high. And so
gonna
when
get
that
worse.
comes up when you're high, now you're focusing on it extra intensely.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh my god, there's even more than I thought there already was.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes. So if you're someone that's like a very peaceful, like happy person that just is very present, like
Mhm.
you're gonna deepen that experience of presence and peace. But if you're
Mhm.
anxious, you're gonna deepen that anxiety in a way. Although that's not
Yeah,
totally true though, because some people use it for
yeah,
anxiety and it helps them.
yeah, absolutely. I wonder how that works. How does that work?
Yeah. I guess
So
we're
for
just talking about like one perspective. It doesn't mean that it's always true.
right. Oh yeah, I know. Absolutely, absolutely. It's just kind of interesting to think about that because, like, you think anxiety with that would, normally I think it's like a given, like, oh, it's going to make it worse. But yeah, there are a lot of people that say it helps them. So for the
Yeah.
people who it makes it worse because they delve deeper into their anxieties. For the people who it eases it, why does it help them? Why does it help them?
It could just be different brains in general. I Because like the human personality and the brain of a human is probably so complex, has so many
Mhm.
variables that
Yeah.
we probably just don't know like all the things that contribute to that experience for people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So
On the topic of anxiety, what exactly, like, what's how do you not have anxiety? Like, how do you not have
how do
any
you
anxieties?
not?
Yeah, like, how do you not have
Well, dude,
anxieties?
you know what? It's a habit. It's just it's a
Is it
habit.
okay?
No,
Habit.
I'm honestly I'm having like a thought about this right now about
Okay.
habits and how they might be tough up front, but then once you're in them, they just kind of you're flowing in them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's true whether it's a negative or a positive habit. Now, if you have a habit of anxious thinking and overthinking, you know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you don't remember like when you were a kid when you developed that habit, maybe it took a while for that to take hold, but now it feels like it's super easy, it flows, it's the easiest path that your mind takes is a path of anxious thinking. And even though transitioning to a quieter mind, which maybe through meditation or mindfulness, might be difficult, over time you can then transition into a flow state of peaceful, less thinking mind. Even though it might be very difficult at the beginning, like we were talking about earlier, eventually it could feel very natural. So I think it's just another habit, dude. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's important to realize. You're right, because I think typically, we think habit in the context that we're talking about. We think positive habit. It's like, let's make positive
Yes.
habits, and we're not, really shedding light on the fact that negative habits can be possible. And there's also neutral habits too. It's like, oh, whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah. Picking my
negative
nose or
habits are
something.
definitely a thing. Yeah, yeah. It's like, that's all right, but like, I also
That's
don't.
not good or bad.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. But yeah, no, that's important to realize that there are in fact negative habits, and anxiety that's a good
Yeah.
point. A negative habit that can be formed.
Right.
So
But
yeah,
do you remember the episode that we were talking about the limits of labels?
yes,
And we were talking about how certain labels for mental illness disorders can be limiting in some form.
yeah,
I think this is one of the cases where if it's easier to just say, "Oh, I have an anxiety disorder,"
mm,
because
yeah,
they feel like that's just the easiest way to take.
yeah,
Um, I don't want to diminish anybody's experience though,
right, right,
but just this maybe we can just like play around with this perspective that like maybe that is just an easy scapegoat way to not actually do the hard work. Do you know?
yeah, yeah. No, 100%. That's funny you bring that up. I think it was just a couple days ago. I was thinking about. I noticed there was a certain situation in my life where I I take an easy way out, and I forget what it was. I wish I could remember, but point being, I recognized in my own life there was there's a certain situation that happens, not not constantly, but it'll happen, and I'll take this easy way out, and that's a bad habit of mine. So it's
Yeah.
like that is a thing, and that what you were talking about having the label I feel like I even used to do that with like my ADHD, like in school specifically. I would be like, oh well, like my parents would get on me like, why aren't you doing your homework, like why are your grades so bad, what I
Yeah.
mean? I'd be like, oh well, I have ADHD, like I can't
Yeah.
focus, I can't do this, I can't do that,
Right.
and it's like
Yeah.
that's just a product of me not really being informed from a younger age about what ADHD actually
Right.
is. I was just told
Well,
I have ADHD.
And, we're in this kind of societal narrative that we need to take mental health seriously, which is totally true. It does need to be taken seriously, especially with like suicide, when it can lead to like some pretty terrible like things. However, can we also at the same time be conscious of maybe the negative side of so deeply defining ourselves by these things? Like, can we put the importance on mental health without like using it as like a victim scapegoat mentality,
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with you. I like that you said that, because I've recognized that before. I just never fully recognized it. But I totally agree that nowadays, with the push of mental health and help, get help, all this, all that, it's a great message, and I think that it's a message that should continue.
Yes.
But what comes along with that is a lot of people who use it to their advantage, unknowingly to themselves, even sometimes.
And when I say that, like, I don't, or when we talk about this, like, I don't want to diminish the people that like have actually benefited from getting diagnosed and being put on medications, because there are people that do benefit, if they genuinely fit the description of a mental illness, like schizophrenia or something, like very like definable, tangible illnesses that can be helped with medication. Great, that's awesome. This is not for you. Like, this way of thinking is for the people that maybe hear this and they're like, okay, maybe I am using my label here of anxiety or ADHD as a scapegoat sometimes, and that it's actually something that I can become aware of and start to tweak and change a little bit. I don't want to diminish the people that are genuinely receiving good help from this diagnosis. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. And as somebody who, like I just mentioned a minute ago, was one of those people who did use my diagnosis to my advantage. And I say my advantage, it's not an advantage, it's a disadvantage. You're just you're just cheating life, basically.
Yes.
As somebody who's done that, I understand why I did it. And it's so tricky, because it's not easy to notice that you're doing it, because it's like I said, I didn't understand what ADHD meant. I used to think that it just meant I couldn't focus, and I was like, rambunctious. Like I didn't understand that. I did. And granted, I was not focused and I was rambunctious, but that's not all it meant. It meant that I had to do things differently. That's all. Like that's the best way I can put it, is like, if you're dealing with ADHD or anxiety or any other thing, of any nature, I suggest you just try doing things differently. Do it your way. Don't do it the way that people normally do it. In school, that's what I learned with ADHD, is that it's not meant for people with ADHD. So you basically have to do it your own way. You don't have to listen for the whole lecture if you don't want to listen for the whole lecture. That's what I learned from myself.
Honestly, I think people that have your personality, it's honestly, dude, you have an advantage and you don't even know it, because the people that just so blindly follow the procedure, so like it's easy for them to just do what they're told and like do the homework and like be a good boy or be a good girl and sit in your chair quietly, they're gonna get sucked into the system. You have an advantage because you naturally, your way of being is defiant to the system. So now you have a way of thinking that's out of the system thinking. So that now you can start to craft the life that you genuinely want for yourself. You're not going to get like tied down by some of the bullshit ideology that's being fed to us through the news and our schools of like, do what you're told. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's honestly an advantage to be able to break out like that.
Exactly. And exactly. And instead of using that label to your advantage, use your diagnosis to your advantage in that sense,
Yeah.
And I say that as somebody with ADHD. I'm not saying like I don't know how it works for people with bipolar or any other thing like that.
Right.
Like I
That's
obviously
true.
I don't experience that, but what I can say for people with ADHD, I can definitely say, yeah, just do your thing. And, I mean, the advantage is that I can get like so hyper focused on things. It's
Yeah.
like when I get into something, I get into it, it's
Yeah.
so that's just an advantage, like you just said, and it can help break out of the system. But, yeah, it's not like that for everybody, but I do think it's important to not use these labels, for your well being, or not for your well being. Sorry, for your advantage. um,
Yes.
I feel like I had something else to say about that, maybe
Huh.
not, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I
Interesting.
guess it can also like I think you said maybe a month ago or whatever it was. Your parents watched our episode on about labels, and they said
Yeah.
like, hey, it can actually be useful sometimes. And looking back on it, I can totally agree with that because if I didn't know I
Yeah.
had ADHD, I feel like I maybe would have had a harder time discovering exactly what ADHD was for me.
Yeah.
Because I've watched like hour-long lectures on ADHD, and that's how I got to know my ADHD a lot better. I'm
Yeah.
still far from perfect with it, and I
Yes.
still have symptoms of it, but
Yeah.
I feel like I understand it so much better because I had that label and I was able to research that label.
It's
So
also it's must be like a very like internal personal experience too, because to me, like also I'm not trying to diminish you at all, but like to me, like
mhm,
you seem like completely normal, capable, like human
mhm.
being. Like to like
Thank you.
from the outside, it's like you're just like a normal human being to me. And
Yeah.
so like I don't know, what is it like what is it
It,
like?
it's so funny because like at times I feel normal, but then there's sometimes where I'm like, oh my god, I'm so ADHD.
Okay.
Like there'll be times where it's like I'll just start like rambling and talking so quickly, and I'll be thinking a mile a minute, and I'll be like, holy
Yeah.
shit, I need to take a deep breath and just
Yes.
slow the hell down, man. Because when I
Right.
get in those states, like I just start to like lose track of things, and I start to lose my focus, and
Yeah.
so that's why meditation is
Dude,
so damn
but
helpful. If you have ADHD, meditate.
okay. Interesting. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Helps slow you down and focus you.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like it can be more superpower than it is like a limitation because dude,
Yeah.
your brain is like an idea generator.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
it can pump out new ideas and way more creativity than like the average brain. It can think about
Right.
way more things more quickly. You know what I mean? Now, like
Yeah.
maybe you're not as able to like practically put those into action because of it, but
Yeah.
like it has its advantages in a way,
Yeah.
just like it has its
Absolutely.
disadvantages.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but I've done research and I'm an INFP on the
Mm-hmm.
16 personalities, and apparently an INFP paired with an INFJ is like amazing because basically I'm like you
Yes.
just said, I'm the idea generator, the creative guy who can just like formulate this whole like blueprint for how to do this. But
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with building the
Yeah.
house. I just want to make the blueprint for it. But the INFJ is the person who wants to build the house and doesn't really want to come up with the idea for it.
Yes. Is your
So that's
girlfriend an
interesting.
INFJ?
No, actually, she's an INFP as well. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's kind of
Interesting.
interesting. I don't know. I don't think I know too many INFPs, so it's kind of interesting how
Yeah.
we function. But
It also we kind of have an interesting dynamic where like I'm an
mhm.
INTP, but
And
I
what's that
feel
mean again?
like it's the same as yours, but like the F is a T, so I'm thinking versus feeling.
Okay,
Um,
yeah,
but like just with the podcast, I noticed like I am much more like kind of the structural, like tangible. Like I upload the podcast and stuff.
yeah,
And you do like creative design, like title ideas,
hmm
thumbnail ideas, and you know what
hmm
I mean. And so
yeah,
like there is kind of like a dynamic just
yeah,
there of that in a way.
yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like uploading things, like yeah, that's the part where it's like that's like that's like building the
That's the
house right
harder
there.
part, honestly.
Yeah, that's like building the house. It's like I hate building the house. Like it's just like not like I'd rather
Yeah,
just keep coming up with
but
ideas and stuff, you know?
I enjoy the ideas part more than I do building the house as well, but I just think I am better at actually like executing the physical part of it.
For sure,
In a
because
way,
like I
you
feel
know?
like there's this like spectrum of like, you know, creativity and you know, structure. And here's
Yeah.
where I'm at on the spectrum, and here's where you're at on the spectrum. You're probably
Yeah.
more like right here, like
Right.
maybe more
I
on
think
the
that's
creative
true.
side, but you're still far further up towards
Yeah.
structure than I am. So
Agreed.
yeah, and you know, in the INFJ, who I would work well with is like on the opposite side. They're on the
Yes.
structure. So yeah, that's interesting. What about you? What's your girlfriend like? How's that work?
Oh, what is she? She's an ISFJ. She's an ISFJ.
Okay, what's that mean?
She and I'm an INTP, so we're basically completely opposite except for the introverted. So we're both introverted.
Okay.
I have kind of more of like an abstract, broader way of thinking, which is the N. And she's S, so she's more detail oriented, like dated, like enjoys more like mundane, not mundane, but like
Yeah, I mean, you can
you know what
use
I'm
that
saying?
word enough. I know
Yeah.
what you mean. Yeah, that's not
And
a
she's
negative
feeling
thing.
exactly. She's feeling.
Mhm.
I'm thinking. This can be that's honestly probably one of the biggest issues is that she can be very emotional and then I can get like caught up in thinking about it and not being able to feel how she's feeling, and that can cause some
Yeah,
stuff. And
right.
then she's J, I'm P. So kind of like what you're saying, like more idea oriented, a little less structured, and she's a little more structured. Which it works out. Everything, it all kind of
Yeah.
works out. We kind of fill in each other's like gaps
Spaces
for the most part, which is nice.
That's awesome.
But it does create some tension sometimes, though, especially like
Yeah,
the
for
thinking
sure.
and feeling.
For
So,
sure. I mean, I think it's impossible to have like a perfect, like, because, you know, the person who's the INFJ who would go perfectly, supposedly with me, you know, would probably get annoyed with me at times because
Yeah.
I'm not very structured and I don't want to build the house, you know, and I would get annoyed with them because, like, I actually, I don't know if I'd be annoyed with them because I
wouldn't
you know,
care.
I wouldn't care. Yeah, that's kind of like how the INFP works. It's like, whatever, like, that works.
Yeah.
So. You know, but I do have to mention, I don't know how this works with other you know, coding of letters, but
Yeah.
there for INFPs there's the assertive and then there's the turbulent. Is it like that for yours or no?
Yeah, it's like that for every personality,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
I don't know. I think yeah, that one's kind of an odd one. I don't totally think it's like necessary. I think it's that's like agreeableness, I guess, in a way, like in the big five. It's like well, maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of like how are you secure in your personality, or are you more like insecure in your personality? That's kind of how I view it, but I could be totally wrong.
No, I think you're partially right with that. But I do have to mention one part of that is, you know, I think I'm an INFP-A. Well, no, that's what I am. But like, I also feel it. Like, it makes sense for me.
Yes.
But I feel like I used to be an INFP-T, and the difference for me, I feel like, is I feel like I've always felt pretty confident with who I am, but I feel like now that I'm an A, I feel like the difference is that thinking versus feeling. I feel like that has changed for me. Like, I'm still a feeler overall, but I think that I have a much better balance now that I'm an A with that. So it's like I feel like I can definitely differentiate my feelings from my thinking, and that's been like super beneficial for me because it's like now I don't act on my emotions constantly. You know? It's like I can actually think about my emotions when they come up. You know, I feel like that's a difference there.
Yeah, that makes sense. We should probably wrap up. It's a little bit after 1.
Oh yeah,
for me.
yeah, that'd be great.
So, thanks for tuning in to the Balanced Stigma. This has been an interesting episode. Very authentic. I'm glad to give that authenticity to you guys, and hopefully you learned something and found some value in this podcast. Sam, anything you want to say?
Absolutely. Just drop a like and comment. You know, I think we said it a while ago, but you know, if you drop a comment, we'll ask questions or something like that. We'd love
on YouTube
to answer that on YouTube.
If you're listening on Spotify and you want to connect, just find us on YouTube, leave us a comment, and if you're on Spotify, leave us that 5-star rating because I think we deserve it.
I don't see a problem with that.
So, anyway.
The boundless enigma.
All right.
That's what we're at.